Hi there, my name is Alan Lamont. I am bringing a message which is a continuation of my last video really about America and how it's ruled by the Jesuits of Rome. And a clear revelation of that is Waco, even though that was many years ago, and Bill Cooper really covered that very, very well in his broadcast Hour of the Time. The fact is that that was a warning really, you know, for people not to join religious groups. I mean, of course, the Catholic Church calls Protestants a religious sect, okay? They call us a cult, really, you know. So, I mean, Bill Clinton, obviously, he graduated from Georgetown University, but he wasn't just an agent of the Jesuits. He was a Jesuit himself. And David Koresh, everything you know about that man is a complete lie. Of course he armed himself, yes, of course he did, you know. But he wasn't what the media portrayed him to be. That was a complete operation of the Council on Foreign Relations to just bring demonization, obviously, you know, to justify FBI inquisition, of course. And that's the truth about what happened. It was a papal inquisition against the Branch Davidians. I mean, federal agents, you know, were really acting as Jesuits, you know, bringing counter-reformation. And of course Clinton, you know, he used the veiled threat really to anyone who would dare join a religious group that they are called a cult. I mean, there was no investigation of David Koresh. There was no trial. You know, they could have taken him any time they wanted to. Also, you know, they just attacked the whole place and just slaughtered, you know, innocent people. That was a papal crusade, and of course people at that time were brainwashed through the media. But that was also a trial, you know. They were testing the public, and they'd done the same with Oklahoma City bombing, you know. Blamed on McVeigh, you know. And it works all the time. The mainstream media continue to brainwash people, when really, Americans, I want to tell you right now that you are really involved in what's called the Protestant counter-reformation. That's what your government is bringing, really. And not just America, all nations, but obviously this message is for people in America, just to bring you understanding and to bring you revelation, really. And most of us are in the know. 9/11 was an inside job by the CIA, we know that. But the mainstream media done it again. They've done it again with this Al-Qaeda deception. And of course, you know, the majority of Americans are still indoctrinated into that brainwashing CIA intelligence operation. But the US presidents are under oath to the Jesuits, you know. I mean, ex-Jesuit priest Alberto Rivera, he revealed that all churches in America are infiltrated. I'm talking every church, not just, you know, Methodists or Presbyterians, but all the Pentecostals now as well. I'm talking about the mainline denominations, of course. And Alberto Rivera was for real. He really was. He was a high Jesuit under orders to the general to infiltrate churches. And he revealed that he was under the extreme oath of the Jesuits, and he was told that a secret sign was to be given to the Jesuits worldwide when the ecumenical movement had successfully wiped out Protestantism, in preparation for the signing of a concordat between the Vatican and the US. And the sign was to be when a president of the US took his oath of office, facing an obelisk, of course. And for the first time in US history, the swearing in of ceremonies was moved to the west front of the Capitol, and President Reagan, Jesuit controlled, faced the Washington Monument. And we know this happened on the 20th of January 1981, and this was revealed by Jack Chick in his publication The Godfathers, Alberto Part 3, Chick Publications, page 26. And I still love reading Jack Chick's publications, to be honest. They're always a blessing to read. But Waco, you know, was a preparation really for 9/11, to see if they could actually do that. It was just to test the waters, exactly. That's what they were doing, you know. And the ultimate plan of the Jesuits in America is to utterly destroy and abolish the Protestant church. And for Americans listening to this kind of information, I think, well, why tell us this? What's the purpose, you know? Are you spreading fear? What can we do about this? Well, what you can do is just don't vote anymore. Just don't vote. I mean, just don't do it, because what's the point? You always vote in a Jesuit. Always. You always vote in a Vatican Knight. Always. So come out of the whole system, man, you know, and don't rise up. Don't do it, you know. I understand Americans want to retain their arms. I completely understand that. But men like Alex Jones and his type, you know, all they want to do is make people rise up against the government. It's not the government. If you're going to rise up against the Jesuits. Get them out of your nation, you know. Rise up against the Society of Jesus. Don't rise up against the government, you know. The vast majority of the government are ignorant. They're ignorant. They're high-level Masons, but they don't understand the true conspiracy. Those in the CFR do. Of course they do. Okay. But the vast majority of Knights of Columbus and the Congress and the governors, I mean, you know, not all of them are, you know, in this conspiracy. I mean, you have men like Ron Paul, who is... Of course, he has controlled opposition, absolutely, under his masters from Jesuit Georgetown University. But Americans just, you know, if you're going to do anything, expose the Jesuits. Rise up against the Society of Jesus. For they are truly the ones that are using your sons and daughters and your citizens to overthrow Afghanistan and Iraq and bring their papal crusades. The Jesuits will continue to bring their destructions in America. You know, the destruction of Oklahoma City and, you know, 9/11 is just the beginning. And they'll blame it on other groups, you know. J. Edgar Hoover was used by the Society of Jesus to blame it on the Cold War, the evil empire, Reagan called it. Of course it wasn't. It was all one big hoax. And this information has been brought out excellently by previous researchers like Eric John Phelps, and but I'm bringing this information out again just to hopefully wake up more Americans, because obviously not all are in the know, not all have true information. People have non-information, you know. They're still in the dark. We must resist the Society of Jesus, and there's many ways we can do that. One of the ways we can do that is on the internet. You know, we can wake up as many people as possible. And of course, I live in Scotland. I'm from Edinburgh. Of course, I'm from Great Britain. But, you know, I've got a real heart for Americans, you know. To be honest, I mean, but also the Jesuits do control Great Britain. They control my nation. They control it through the Crown, the Order of the Garter, through Grandmother Lodge, which is the headquarters of World Masonry. They control the nation. It's not Parliament. Even in my nation, it's not, you know, the British government. It's not the House of Commons. It's not Parliament that rules this nation. You know, it's not David Cameron and Nick Clegg. You know, it's not the British government, and it's the same structure all across the earth. Okay. Of course, you know, Americans have had some great pioneers like Bill Cooper, who they got to him, you know, they got to Bill, unfortunately, you know, and because he was just really exposing them. He exposed Waco, he exposed 9/11 before it even happened, you know. And all of these bombings and all of these attacks are from your own government, people. That's what I'm bringing out. It's your own government, and it's your own governmental power that's bringing this destruction and bringing this war on its own nation, you know, to destroy its own freedom and destroy hundreds of thousands of Americans, and eventually they will bring down the dollar. I'm not bringing this to bring fear. I'm not, honestly. All I'm saying is, if you're going to come against anyone in the 9/11 movement or the Patriot movement or the New World Order movement in America, go against the Jesuits of Rome, for it's the Jesuits that rule the United States. It's the Jesuits that are bringing the whole of that political structure under the feet of the Black Pope. And it's the Black Pope today, you know, that controls the educational system, he controls the media, he controls the laws through, you know, controlling the Congress. And it's the Church of Rome, it's the Black Papacy today that rules the United States of America. Period. That's it. So yes, I mean, American politics, my God, you know, it's Jesuit politics, Jesuitical politics, and they will eventually destroy the Constitution and the Great Republic. And America is a great republic. I want to say that it is a great nation. Okay, and I believe that the greatest days and the greatest destiny is ahead. But it was one of the worst days in history, man. 9/11, that World Trade Center attack, the destruction of the World Trade Center. I mean, it just sent shockwaves across the whole planet. What happened, and eventually, when people eventually woke up and realized that on September 11th, 2001, that was not Al Qaeda. That's when the New World Order really exploded. I'm talking about the New World Order movement. I remember where I was when it happened. I was in a cafe at the time. I was actually in like an indoor market, and I was actually having a coffee and having a sandwich. I was on a lunch break, and there was a television there, obviously, and I was just completely, just couldn't believe what I was watching. And then the second plane hit the tower, and I couldn't move for like 45 minutes to an hour. I was just stuck there, just could not comprehend what was happening. And it wasn't until about 2 years later that I really began to realise that actually it wasn't Al Qaeda. And that's when I went back to researching the New World Order. So anyway, oh God, Americans, honestly, let me tell you right now, it's not the CFR that done that. It's not the CFR. Okay? It's the Jesuits that done that. They've no conscience. They've no love for humanity. All they care about is control. You know, control. And they will use their CIA, you know, their intelligence arm in the United States. They will use the FBI. They will use all of these organizations to destroy Protestantism and destroy the Constitution of the United States, and to restore, you know, the power of the papacy across the earth, ultimately bringing the Pope of Rome to be the universal monarch. Of course, we know that's truly the Black Pope. And it was the Jesuits, of course, that assassinated your President Abraham Lincoln and John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Okay, conclusion. I'm not bringing this out just to bring information. If you're American, I'm bringing it out to let you know right now that you must rise up against the Jesuit order. Begin to expose them on the internet. If you're called of God and you're a true American, a patriot, and you're bringing out exposure about the New World Order, understand who they are, please. Understand it is the Society of Jesus. It is the superior Jesuit general today that rules the Vatican, and it's the Black Papacy that did bring down the Twin Towers. It was a CIA black operation controlled by the Jesuit general, and the Jesuit general at that time was a Dutchman called Peter Hans Kolvenbach. If you're going to expose anyone, expose the Jesuits, expose them, for they truly are worthy of exposure. And we know ultimately, just to bring you hope, in the book of Revelation 17, that Babylon's destroyed. But ultimately, when the Lord Jesus Christ himself descends from his throne and he comes on the clouds of heaven, he will destroy this one world government that oppresses us and rules over us, this fascist, you know, wicked one world government. You know, they destroy us, they kill us, and they create and blame it on false enemies. But I thank God that people in America are waking up in the thousands upon thousands. They're waking up, and this revelation about the Black Pope and the Jesuits, it must begin to move through the entire internet now. It must begin to move through the internet, because, you know, that is the New World Order. It's not the Bilderbergs, it's not the Club of Rome or the CFR or the Trilateral Commission or the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds. It's the Jesuits of Rome. They are the true enemy. And you know, we have to seek the Lord. He is our strength, he is our refuge, but ultimately we also must expose the Jesuits of Rome. My name is Alan Lamont. Thanks for listening. As always, all roads lead to Rome.